What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video on the Mustang. In today's video, we're gonna be doing a lot more focusing on in the front and on the middle of the frame section. And we actually don't have our rims and tires yet, but I do have a little solution for that. These rims are 20 inches, and then we have some 255 40-inch tires on here, which is basically around 26 inches, I'm pretty sure, because this is pretty thick right there. So I'm thinking we're gonna take them to the tire shop, get them all removed, and we'll basically have a 20-inch rim, which will basically translate to like a 17-inch rim with some lower profile tires or something like that. And that'll give us a better understanding of how everything's gonna line up. So let's take all these tires, load them up in the truck, and go to the tire shop. So we just made it to the tire shop. Let's go ahead and get these rims and tires in here. We got my boy Danny TV over there working on a nice Silverado. Well, let's go ahead and get these inside. So we got all 4 rims back at the shop, and now we need to actually make one more pit stop. We need to go pick up some more frame rails. We're gonna have to build 2 more frame rails on both sides. So let's go to the steel store and get 2 more of them. So we just made it to the steel store, man. There's so much metal over here. We just found the piece we need, and let's head back to the shop. So we got both metal beams over here, and these beams are actually going to go on the side of the frame, and that's what's actually gonna hold the body to the frame rails. We are gonna cut and come off of these original frame rails and go to the side, and that's gonna be basically welded to that. But now that we have the metal there, we need to actually work on the rear. We're gonna put these rims back on, because as you guys know, we do need to lower this car down a little bit more on the frame, and we might have to actually cut this out a little bit because we are doing the wide body, and that's exactly how you're supposed to do it. So let's go ahead and get these rims back on here and then see what else we have to do. So we went ahead and put both rear wheels on, and now what we're gonna do is actually lift the car up so we can actually line everything up better in the back, because when we were adjusting the front subframe, we kind of moved everything. So we're gonna go ahead and lift this thing up on our bin pack lift, and then we'll start lining everything up perfectly under there. So we got everything nice and set up in the rear, and check this out. We unscrewed all the control arms. Now we can kind of move the suspension up and down to see exactly how it's gonna function on the road. And everything's lining up pretty good. And as you can see right here, the wheel is sticking out a little bit. So we will have to cut the quarter panels and do the wide body over here, which is gonna look pretty cool. We're not gonna go too wide, maybe 2-3 inches, just to keep it kind of almost OEM. Because as you can see, the OEM does come out right there. And that's kind of how we want to keep it. But that's all looking good in the back. Now let's start moving on to the front. So now that we have the rear all nice and set up, we're gonna go ahead and start working on the front airbag suspension right here. And the cool thing is I actually found out that you can adjust this airbag down a little bit, and that's exactly what we need, because this car is a lot narrower than the newer Mustangs, and the newer ones are a lot taller. So what we're gonna have to do is probably unscrew this right here and try to screw this bag in as much as we can and see what that does, and hopefully that will give us that lowering ability, so then we can set it all up properly. So what we're gonna do is actually unscrew this right here and try to bolt this in, because there is a lot of thread on there. There we go. Now we can probably just screw this. Oh yeah. So we got this one screwed in a little bit, and if you see, this is the original one from the left side, and it's around 2 inches longer than this one, and there's still a lot more thread, so if we do need to screw it in a little bit more, we can obviously adjust that a bit later. But now what I want to do is go ahead and throw this suspension up here and try to see if we can get it like mocked up, and then we'll put the fender on and the rim, and hopefully we have some success. So this is the next day here at the shop, and we got everything lined up pretty good on this side. Everything is looking good, and we also moved this shock down a little bit, so that gave us some good clearance with the fender and all of that. Now what we have to do is actually work on lowering this frame down just a little bit, and the cool thing is I made the subframe adjustable, and all we're gonna have to do is slide this bar right here down and then cut these tubes off right there, and then we can bring the whole frame rails down just a little bit, just to compensate for the body dropping, and then so we'll have some more room inside for the seats. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to have to remove this bar right here, probably remove this clamp, and maybe just lift the frame up, and then we'll do some cutting and then lower it down. So we got all the welds busted off these tubes, and we slid this bar nice and down. That's about 2 inches right there. Now what we do is grab the grinder and cut all these off, and then we can lower the frame rails back down on there. So now that we have the frame rails lowered in the front, we're actually gonna start working on the way we're gonna connect the frame rails to the body. We have everything nice and leveled out. It levels out just like that. And also the rails are nice and leveled just like that. And that's why we actually bought those 2 pieces of metal, because we're gonna make brackets that are gonna come off the frame rails and actually hold the body to the frame, and then everything's gonna be welded up. So let's go ahead over there and see how we're gonna do it. So now that we have the frame rail nice and lowered down and everything is lining up nice and level, we're gonna start building the support braces that go on here, which is gonna hold the body to the frame. And we did pick up some new steel right here, which is gonna work. We did go a little bit smaller just to save on weight on that. It's a 2x3 instead of a 2x4 like the frame rails. It's gonna help us with weight and keep the weight of the car down. Now let's go ahead and do some measuring and do some cutting. So we have all these pieces nice and cut right here, and let's test it on and see how it fits. Slides up in there just like that right there. And now what we're going to do is actually take these bars back off and do some cleaning, because it does have a little bit of surface rust, but that's okay, it's not too bad. And then we'll just cap this area off right here and then weld everything up real nice. So let's get these pieces off and get them cleaned up. So we have all these pieces nice and cleaned up. We went ahead and hit them with the grinder with the flap disc, and then went over it with a 60 grit on the DA sander, and it made it really nice and smooth. Now what we're gonna do is go ahead and put it on the car and tack them up. So we got this piece nice and welded in. We just tack welded it for now. We're gonna take it a little bit slower because we've kind of been doing a lot more than we should be, because we are redoing some stuff, because this is actually a really tough build. I didn't think it would be this hard at first when I first started and I cut everything up, but now we're just gonna take it a little bit slower. I kind of actually want to start like designing, maybe if anybody knows anybody that could do that, maybe design a frame for me and just redesign some of the front end just to make sure we can get it right this time, because it's really just a lot of freaking work and a lot of the stuff you don't really see on YouTube, but it's here, and there's just a lot of designing, a lot of planning, a lot of cutting. But that's gonna be it on today's video on all of this. And also guys, we are gonna be starting to post 3 videos a week. Hopefully we have some new stuff coming up, and we have a lot more cool projects coming in. And also follow me on Instagram at vTuned, and also go to vTuned.com and pick you up some merch if you want to. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.